Hi everyone, my name is Nelius Flynn and I'm a lecturer in accounting here in CIT. The purpose of this session is to help students successfully pass their autumn accounting exams. Okay, so I'll now outline some advice and some tips that I feel will be of benefit when students will be repeating their exams in autumn. First of all, I think with accounting it's very important that students have access to past papers and past solutions, because what you will find with accounting is, the questions generally don't change from term to term. So for example, if you can do profit and loss account in one semester or in previous years, the process doesn't change. So with the profit and loss account, you're going to have sales, less sales returns equals net sales. You'll have less cost of sales, opening stock and purchases. Okay, and the process doesn't change no matter what profit and loss account you're actually doing. Similarly with a balance sheet, you'll have your non-current assets such as machinery, buildings, equipment and so on. You'll have your current assets such as your closing stock, debtors, bank, cash and so on, current liabilities, bank overdraft, creditors. Okay, so it's just a case of knowing the structure and knowing the process involved in completing each document that you're actually required to do. Similarly with the double entry question, okay, what you must remember there with the double entry, a debit balance is either an asset or an expense. A credit balance is either a liability or a gain. So once you have that understanding, it should make the area of doing a double entry question much easier. Similarly, if you're asked to do a bad debt question, you must remember that a bad debt is actually an expense. Provision for a bad debt is actually a credit balance. So once you have that process and that understanding, that area should be much easier as well. Similarly, if you're asked to do a break-even question, there's only a certain number of requirements. If you're asked to do break-even, margin of safety, contribution per unit, the process doesn't change. Okay, so once you can do one break-even question, you should be able to do any number of break-even questions. But the key thing is just get practice with the process, understand the process. Once you understand the process, and when it comes to the exam in the autumn, it should be much easier. If you're asked to do a cash flow statement, just know the process. Okay, as past paper questions, you'll have solutions from your lecturer. Just practice writing out the solutions, and once you practice writing out the solutions, again, when it comes to the exam day, you shouldn't have any problems with a question like this. Budgeting is the same idea. You have you'll have your inflows, you'll have your outflows, you'll get the difference, and once you know the process involved there, that should be a question that you should be quite confident in doing. I suppose the other thing as well is, you need to have a study plan. When I was a student, I felt it was very useful just to create a study plan, and what you will find is that some areas you might be quite weak on. So what you can do is with the study plan, you can actually devote more time to those areas, and in doing that, that should help you become more confident in those areas. So what I would typically do is maybe take 30 minutes on a certain area, it could be profit and loss account, then maybe take 10 minutes break, maybe 15 minutes break, get some fresh air. Hydration is actually important, it's important to drink water, and then come back again, maybe do another 30 minutes and so on. Okay, what I would advise as well is, distractions. Distractions can be, they're very tempting. You could be doing a question, you might have the phone on one side, the laptop on the other side, an iPad and so on. To me, that would be a no-no. Okay, really what should be here is your notes, past paper questions, solutions, pen, calculator and so on. But certainly, the mobile phone, I think, shouldn't be present. I suppose just moving on then, maybe if you look at maybe just before you actually do the exam, certainly the night before, I believe it's very important just to get a good night's sleep, because you don't want to be fatigued when you're actually doing the exam. Okay, and that can actually happen to some students. They might do an all-nighter, for example. When it comes to the exam then the following day, they have no energy, they're very fatigued. Okay, it's important to get a good night's sleep. Equally, the following day, it's important to get to the exam venue on time. Just give yourself plenty of time. You don't want to be rushing, you don't want to be stressed. You want to give yourself the best possible chance to actually pass the exam. Okay, then I think when you get the paper, it's important to make sure that you actually have the right paper. Okay, spend maybe 5 or 6 minutes just scanning the paper, seeing what it's about, and then after having done that, you should then be in a position to actually decide what question you're actually going to start on. Personally, I feel it's important that you start on the question you feel you're actually most strongest on, and that should help you get the confidence going. And I think when doing any accounting paper, it is important just to get the confidence going. So if it means you're actually doing your best question, certainly go for that, get the confidence going, and that should actually help you with future questions in the paper. I think it's also very important as well, if you're given 2 hours to do an exam, you take those 2 hours, try and spend your time as wisely as you can. Just read over, because you'll actually be surprised. You may have actually made some simple mistakes, But because you have stayed in the exam for the full 2 hours, you should be able to actually track down those mistakes and correct those errors. And I suppose also, just to finish up, it's very important as well to avail of the ALC service. The ALC service here in CIT offers a great number of resources, in accounting and so on, and just to help you maximise your chances of passing those exams. I think it's very important to avail of those services provided by the ALC department.